All right. My name's Karen. This is the Agile Life. Now, do you have far too much stuff on your list? Just things floating around in your head. You know, you've got so much stuff to do. Everyone's adding things, giving you new tasks. You've got new ideas. You just don't know where to start, what to start doing. You end up giving something a go and halfway through getting distracted to do another thing. You just get nowhere and you've been working all day. Yeah, me too. So Agile's got a couple of tips and tricks that we can use in our home life to help us to manage all of the things that we need to do and get a great understanding of the priority, any time deadlines, and generally work out ways to break tasks down so that we can actually achieve them with the time that we've got available to us. Because there's 24 hours in most people's days as far as I know, and some of those hours need to be used for sleeping. So, the tip or trick or thing that we use within the technology space to manage all of the things that need to be done to a system is called the backlog. Essentially, it's a perpetual to-do list, and you prioritise and rank tasks based on the value that they bring to you and your business. And in this case, we're going to prioritise and rank our tasks based on the value that they bring to us as a family. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this. You can save it on your phone, in your notes section. You can create a list in Excel. Or if you're kind of creative, you could have a physical space where you write each task on a post-it note and then stick it on the board. Whichever way you choose to keep the list, it's really important to have a list so that you actually can work out what to tackle first. So I'm going to share with you a selection from my own list of things floating around in my head, waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we've got sorting out the bed linen upstairs, painting the banister rail because I'm partway through redecorating my hallway, putting away the stuff to do with the painting, staining the banisters and the windowsills. I need to sort my wardrobe out because it is just crammed with stuff right now. I need to mastic the windows, put some light bulbs in the kitchen because they're all flashing. Need to sort out the dentist. There's a lot, right? And that's just me, and that's just some of the stuff that I need to keep in my head. So if I start by just writing that list down, that's brilliant, but that still doesn't help me to work out which needs to be done first. So what we use in the technology space is something called a user story. We think about who needs the thing and why they need it. And that kind of helps, it really does. So there's a couple of bits. We're going to start with the who. Now, obviously, you can start off saying, as Karen, I would like to have the banisters painted in order to make them look pretty. And that's kind of useful, that's okay. But for something like the wardrobe, Karen has a bunch of different hats. So for each hat, we call them a persona. I am a mum, I am a office worker, like I go out to work in an office when we're not in lockdown. I love to party, so I've got some party clothes in there. I have my lazy kind of house clothes, you know, the ones with the stretchy elastic and the comfortable warmness. I've also got social events, so, you know, just something you'd wear to a barbecue if we were allowed to have them, or, you know, that sort of thing. I've also started a YouTube channel, so I need to be wearing clothes for that, because otherwise I think that this video might get taken down. So there's certain personas in my life, and to a certain extent it can be helpful at times to understand those personas when you're tackling a task, so that that task meets the needs of you when you're in mum mode or work mode. And if we think about something like sorting out all of my clothes and decluttering my wardrobe, well, I have quite a lot of clothing, and the idea of KonMari type decluttering, where you take literally everything that you own, put it on your bed, sort through it and decide what sparks joy. That whole idea doesn't spark joy with me. It feels like it's too much, it's too big of a task. I'm never going to have the time to do it. And if I did do it, I'd probably get exhausted and not be able to finish it, and then I'd just have a messy house. So that kind of thinking doesn't really work for me. But I have found somebody else who has a great idea, and that's the Minimal Mum. And I love everything that she does. So I'm going to link to her channel below. The Minimal Mum suggests that for each persona in your life, or each thought, each way of being, you decide how many items that persona needs, and then you just minimize down to that amount of clothing for that particular use. So if you're a gym buddy, you might need a whole bunch of gym clothes. If you're, if you paint for a living, you might need a bunch of painting clothes that you don't want to mix up with your other clothes. You get the concept. So for me, as someone that 4 to 5 days a week would leave the house and go to an office, I need office clothes. So if it's 4 to 5 days, let's say 6, maybe 7 outfits, so I don't end up just, Monday clothes, Tuesday clothes, that sort of thing. So if I'm looking at 7 outfits for my office wear, and maybe a couple of special ones, when you've got a job interview or you're speaking to a very important client, doing a massive presentation, doing a talk, that sort of stuff. So let's say 3 items for my super fancy. So that leaves me with 10 items that I need to find out of my wardrobe, so 10 outfits. And so if I go through my wardrobe with that mindset, knowing that the persona is my office worker, my work life, and I go through and pick 10 items that I love, that fit me well, and that's all that goes into the wardrobe. Everything else gets either stored in long-term storage, or it gets donated, or, some of it might be a bit trashed, so it may have to go elsewhere. But generally, if I focus on just that really small chunk, I'll be able to get that task done. In fact, I'm inspired to go and do it right now. I won't, because we're talking. So understanding your who not only helps you to understand who you're going to be doing the task for and who's getting the value, but actually if you break down that who into your personas, it can be really helpful to break down a task into a far more manageable task. Another way to use your who, and it might be slightly unconventional, is to think about who actually cares. Because that pile of dishes that I'm showing you behind me, quite stressful for me, I have to say, to show you the mess. But actually, that pile of dishes bothers me a lot more than it bothers anyone else in my family. They would quite happily walk past that pile day in, day out, and the only time it would bother them is when they reach into the cupboard and there's no plates or forks. So it's me that's bothered about that pile of dishes. And actually recognising that and writing that up as part of your list can be quite revolutionary, because prior to realising this, and I got the idea from Cass the Clutterbug, I can't remember the video, so I'll just link to her channel. But actually reassessing that concept in my own mind meant that when cleaning something like this, I actually don't feel as angry and as much like Cinderella. I feel a lot more that I'm doing this for me because it bothers me, and that makes it a lot easier for me to get the motivation to pick up and start doing tasks that I don't particularly like doing. So that's another use for your who. And obviously you don't need to add a who, it just does have some benefits and adds some value to your task list if you know who's going to get the benefit. So speaking of value, we need to talk about the why. If we look at something like changing the duvet covers upstairs, why am I doing that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, because in the spare room I like to have fresh linen in case somebody wants to come round and stay. Then I don't have a big mad rush if we've got guests. In my son's room, he left for uni, so I took all of his bed linen off to wash, and now I need to go and put the bed linen back on. And for me, I want to make sure my upstairs looks lovely when people come round. But here's the thing, let's think about those whys. Why I want my son's room to be done is so that when he comes back it's all nice. But he's not coming back for a while, so that's not very high priority. The same for having guests to stay in the guest room. I'm not having guests anytime soon, we're in the middle of lockdown. So actually the value of changing the bed linen upstairs is quite low. But I would have thought of that as a task that was getting on my nerves. So sitting and understanding why I need to do these things, there's no urgency to sorting that out. So I'm not going to worry about it for a while until that urgency raises and I've got someone coming to stay, or my son's on his way back for Christmas, let's hope. So yeah, understanding why I need to do the bed linen, I just don't, not right now. Sorting out my wardrobe, well, actually, the reason I want to do that is because I want to reduce my laundry overall, because I'm at the point where I reach in to get something else falls down. Maybe I've just taken off my dirty clothes and I'm actually washing clean clothes. I've also found that putting washing away is a pain, so I'm ending up with piles of clean clothes because I just can't face it. And generally, I want to find my clothes that I'm wearing at the moment in lockdown, which is completely different to the set I would normally wear. I want to find them, and I want to find them in a much quicker time, and I want to make sure that everything in my wardrobe is an actual choice that fits me, looks good on me, and so on and so forth. So there's loads of reasons why simplifying my wardrobe will be really helpful. And so by writing those things down, it helps you to get the motivation for doing it, but also work out where that sits on the priority list. Sorting out the bed linen upstairs is easier than decluttering my wardrobe, but actually decluttering my wardrobe has more value. So I've waffled on for long enough, but the key points are, if you have things swimming around in your head, then write them down. And if you can work out who needs them and why, all the better, because that will supercharge your list. And once you understand why, you can prioritize everything so that you understand what you're going to get the most value from. And if you understand who and why, it's also easier to break tasks down into more manageable chunks. So then if you've got a super organized list of everything that you need to do, an understanding of its priority and value, it's so much easier when you get a bit of time to go to that list, pick off the top item and start getting it done. My name's Karen, this has been The Agile Life. I've loved chatting to you. If you enjoyed this or any of the other content, it would be awesome if you hit the subscribe button. If you've got any comments about this, and Agile purists, I know I've been gentle with this one. I have a lot more knowledge, I'm just not sharing it yet. So be nice. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you're having a great time. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts, and we're gonna talk about some practical examples in one of the next videos where I go through and actually tackle some of these challenges and use some of the tips and tricks from the Agile community to help make these tasks easier. Been great chatting to you, speak to you soon. You still here? Pick a video already. I mean, I've got some good ones, I think, so you could go watch one of those if you're that bored. But here, look, seeing as you're here, I'm going to tell you an extra little secret. And that is that having something like this in your home that's really visual can reduce your nagging. There are tasks that I put on the board that I've been going, oh, could you just, when you get some time, could you just, and getting nothing. But having to walk past this list of things to do has meant that somebody, and this is a secret between me and you, has actually picked up a bunch of those tasks, and having nothing done for ages, all of a sudden I had 2 or 3 tasks picked off and completed within the day. So actually it can be really beneficial to have something visual in your home to share with those people that maybe are less inclined to do things or have tuned you out by now. So anyway, have a great day. Catch you later.